Is the Australian housing market sustainable? House prices just keep going up and up way beyond any wage rises. But yet the market keeps getting more and more competitive. Where are people getting the money to pay these exorbitant prices? 15x average yearly earnings. Plus interest rates have risen and the market remains strong. How are first home buyers ever going to get in the market? I really feel for the younger generation, they will be forced to rent for the rest of their lives. Is it simply a matter of too much supply and not enough demand? Is migration too high in Australia? I have been trying to get a foot in the housing market since late 2019. Whenever I'm close to a deposit close to what I need, interest rates and house prices jump and I'm back to square one. I'm even in one of the cheapest areas and it's difficult. Then add cost of living increases, rent increases, and stupid expenses that are unavoidable, including psychiatry and medication, etc. I feel that I may never be able to buy anything, at least not for a while. Where are people getting the money to pay these exorbitant prices? 15x average yearly earnings. According to CoreLogic, the median house price in Sydney was $643,073 in 2010. As of June 2023, the median house price is $1,389,330, an increase of 114.1. This means that the average house price in Sydney has doubled in the last 10 years. Sellers in the market who have held for the last decade are completely cashed up. Their buying power will be far higher than anyone looking to get into the market for the first time. Everyone keeps commenting move away to somewhere cheaper. I work in dementia in aged care. No one wants to do my job, and if I move no one will. Some jobs require workers, and if they can't live in the area they work, what's the point of working there? Purchasing power should also be based off household income, as that is the vast majority of purchasers. You don't get a discount for being a single purchaser. 454,000 immigrants in a year. Foreign and corporate investment barely regulated. Unnecessary tax concessions. No, it's not sustainable for the average person. It's awesome if you're already cashed up enough to join the feast though. There are a lot of recent immigrants that need somewhere to live. I would be fascinated to hear their perspectives on Australian house prices. How do they feel about moving to a country where you need $2 million to buy a house for a small family? It's sustainable if we just keep bringing in more people to prop it up. Houses drop. More people. Houses drop more. Bring in people faster. Just need to stop getting avocado and toast and you can buy a housemate. Don't want to seem unkind pointing to this. You are not the first poster to do it. You meant to write enough supply and too much demand. I assume. How can people afford this? Look how expensive housing in Dubai is. The government wants to fill houses with wealthy people, while the minimum, even medium-wage employees are out of sight and mind. Try rent vesting for a bit, get yourself some equity and then buy your dream house. If you stay stuck on to buy your PPOR in Sydney, I'm afraid it will be tough unless you have too high incomes. Housing or houses? I think Australia just needs to get over its obsession with houses. They aren't for everyone. I'm loving the apartment life. Everything gets maintained for under $10 a day. Plus the purchase price was quite reasonable, although it really rocketed just after I got in. The funny thing is, no one wants to live next to an apartment building, but it's making houses cheaper for families who want them. It has to be the right area, but if people want to keep living in the areas that are already well established, it's really the only way to go. Because credit is still too loose and easy to get for those with equity. Negative gearing is now creating vast inequality in our society, as the means to get credit is now heavily skewed and subsidized by the taxpayer for the equity-rich wealthy in our society. Negative gearing needs to go. It's a cancer destroying the future of the next generation. Also, the government needs to stop foreigners buying up the market. Once again, driving inequality by having wealthy foreigners price out locals. The average internet user sees Sydney and Melbourne house prices and thinks it's a bubble, without realizing how many high-income earners are in the two cities alone. There's still plenty of affordable housing in this country, just look outside the major cities. As much as I think Australian houses are ridiculously overpriced, I can see them coming down. It's insane what someone has to pay for a basic home not even near the CBD. Houses a lot of places are increasing quicker than people can save. People are very persistent in their desire to live in a dwelling. Until we build an appropriate number of them, demand is likely to remain high. It's a massive bubble propped up by government policy. When it eventually pops, it will be historic. Could take a while though. Yes. There will always be a buyer and a seller until the end of time. Yes, it is. People are having less kids and having them later. As long as you have only 1 or 2 kids, then family wealth isn't being diluted and each successive generation can afford to pay even more and more for housing. In the end, the haves and have-nots will be largely determined by who was savvy enough to not fall into the maternal trap of having 3 or more kids. AUD is very cheap since our interest rates are low compared to other Western countries and you don't need to be a citizen to buy. High rents and risk of homelessness are making FHB pay high prices for the bottom end of the market, which tends to push everything up. I can't see this changing soon since our rates are very close to peaking. Anybody in the world can buy a house in Australia. These anybodies are used to paying triple this figure in their country. No, of course it's not sustainable. Houses won't cost 30x incomes in 10 years. But the minute everyone believes it will go on forever and gives up on prices ever coming down is when it crashes. Same as every market. This time is different is clarion call of an idiot. Government needs to keep filling the country with people to maintain demand on houses or the banks will go tits up. Yes, because not everyone is meant to live on a 600 square meters block. Most people in the world live in apartments, which are very affordable in Australia. Apartment housing. Not just houses on 600 square meters block. Houses will not be affordable, but housing will continue to be. As much as any Ponzi. How hard you get hurt depends when you entered and when it crashes. Getting a return of 1.1 on my $1.5 million house. There are better investments around. Think outside the box, maybe get a bigger place so you can rent a couple of rooms. Maybe buy a place to rent out while you're still living at home, maybe buy a rental in cheaper state to support your buying down the track, maybe buy a dump and do it up. I've done 3 of these things in the past on multiple occasions. I'm a minimum wage guy who wasted his early years chasing dreams. The only way I could eventually afford multiple properties was to think of different tactics and lots of extra jobs and hard work. Just make it happen. Homes aren't for people to live in anymore, it's for rich people and hedge fund types to profit off. It's a profit investment, and anyone getting to live in a home is an unfortunate byproduct as tenants either owner-occupied, or rentals damage the profitability of the product and requires repairs, or upgrades. If rich people could own more homes without having people dirty or damage them, bet your ass they would, yesterday fast. Nope. It's a purely speculative market that has been warped by decades of reckless lending by financial institutions. House prices across the country surged 22.1% last year, according to CoreLogic figures, while wages rose just 2.3%, the latest Australian Bureau of Statistics figures show. The figures don't lie. Foreign investors. Housing is a luxury, not a right. Number 20 years ago a house block of 1,000 SQM cost $30,000. Realestate.com can confirm. Now a 675 SQM dirt pile up the road goes for $375,000. Shut up real estate investment pricks who have 2 or 3 homes. No. You are slum lords now. And you don't even have the decency to look the tenants in the eyes when you raise their rent to pay your ill-advised effing third house. I hope your renters ditch you, the banks foreclose, and you enjoy surfing couches for the next 2 years. Landlords are the vampires of society. Didn't you know? The corporations own a lot of property now, people are now slaves to them.